ISO 20022, the standard for electronic data interchange between financial institutions, has been around for about 10 years.
But its adoption is on the rise, especially in Europe, where 4 central banks are collaborating on its implementation in securities and payments. To talk us through this, we're joined by Siegfried Vonderau, Head of Division Eurosystem Market Infrastructure Service Management at Deutsche Bundesbank. Siegfried, welcome to Sibos TV.
Welcome. Hello, Jack.
Thank you for coming. Now, the Eurosystem Vision 2020 program is going to drive the adoption of ISO 20022 in Europe. Could you talk us through the program itself?
Of course. So Vision 2020 is built of 3 different pillars. It is an enhancement of the so-called target services. And the first pillar will go live rather soon, in November this year, which will be our instant payment settlement service called TIPS. Then another project will happen in November 2021, which is the consolidation of the Target 2 service, that is our RTGS service, as well as T2S, which is our security settlement service. And then, last but not least, 1 year later in November 2022, we will also adapt our collateral system that is used by the different central banks in Europe also to have a central one. And these are the 3 pillars which are called the Vision 2020.
And what's the goal of this consolidation, the general purpose?
It's on the one hand the enhancement of the services in Europe. Let's say there is still an ongoing transformation, so to say, to build up and improve a capital union. That target is already running, the settlement service. Now the next one with the instant payment is also making sure that we are up and ready for the future. And with the consolidation, there are, of course, also efficiency efforts between the different services and bringing it up to the next level of technology.
And Siegfried, why was ISO 20022 chosen as the standard for this program?
Yeah. It's difficult to avoid making use of it. You know, there is this HVP Plus initiative within the RTGS system, and you simply have to be aligned. But of course, there are also other advantages if you make use of it from a banking perspective vis-à-vis your customers, so you can much better exchange also across different business areas. And therefore, it is a must, I would say.
How do you think that this transition to ISO 20022 has impacted on the banks and, of course, their customers?
Yeah, there is a lot of effort to be done. If you come, let's say, from a well-established format, the MTs, which are used, meanwhile, I would say, for 25, if not even 30 years. So you have to make these adaptations. But it's not only a technical adaptations. There are also business elements. You have much more facilities to make use of these parts, and this will also adapt then the business models of the different stakeholders.
And Siegfried, over the last few years, T2S has already successfully moved to ISO 20022 for security settlement. What are the lessons that can be learned from this experience for other migrations?
We have done a lot of effort, and we were, I think, one of the pilots when we start with T2S to bring it to ISO 20022. In this context, it was the first time that we make use of My Standards. It's a tool that is offered by Swift. It's very helpful in this context. I said you can enhance the business models. What is important here is a lot of dialogue with the community. So you cannot do it from a single side, being it a market infrastructure or being it the banks only. You have to do it together because finally both must fit together.
Let's look ahead now to when Target 2 actually adopts ISO 20022 as that next stage of the Vision 2020 program. What do you think will be the key milestones in that journey?
Yeah, let me start from the end where we will go live in November 2021. We will start our migration testing 2 months earlier. The user testing itself will already start in January 2021. You have to adapt a new connectivity, which is going to happen till mid of 2020. And then there are 2 steps before. By mid of next year, we are going to offer the readiness portal, which is an enhancement of My Standards also to the users, so that they can already start testing their messages as of next year. And also rather soon, now November, we will provide our first version of the user detailed function specification, which is a documentation on how to do the different adaptations. And that is then the starting point for the users to make their development and their preparation.
And Siegfried, Swift has obviously produced services to help ease the challenges of transitioning over to ISO20022. How are you using My Standards to address the bank's pain points as they make the change?
So we have learned it with T2S, and there are three major areas where My Standards can really help. So first of all, already during the setup. So when you define standards, you can use My Standards also for a collaboration tool, like mailing, but with much more enhanced services. Then secondly, it is then the distribution of the different formats, also for maintenance purposes. And last but not least, on the user side, who can make use of it, can exit it, and then use it also for their development. So these are the three stages where My Standards is really helpful.
Deutsche Bundesbank has also said it's going to use Swift's readiness portal, so that's an important step, of course. And what benefits do you think it's going to bring to the community?
Yeah. In addition to what is already offered with My Standards, you have the testing facilities. So you can check that the messages you are building, being it on our side as a market infrastructure, but also from the user side, they can make use of it and check already at a very early stage. I said for us it will be in summer 2019. We will now start already to use it internally. We will then give the opportunities to banks by summer next year. And last but not least, also the onboarding process later for going to the migration and preparing the production. We will again use the readiness portal to check that the users are up and running.
What will happen next in the Vision 2020 program?
Well, we will see. There is, after the consolidation, let's say, also to enhance business aspects. There are still some elements in the capital union that needs to be adopted. Maybe an issuer service or something like this might pop up. But for the time being, let's say we are very business having 3 projects in parallel, which will run till 2022. So there is a bit of time to think about. What is coming, I always said, after the vision is before the vision, is of course the use of APIs. We have in mind to offer an API access for treasurers, which we called Global Treasury View. It was very helpful here at Sibos. We had a lot of conversation about this. We will have follow-up workshops. And this is then the next dimension on how to make use of your data within the different system. Not only within our system, the intention here, like it is usually for ISO, is to make a global use.
Okay, so plenty to keep you busy, certainly.
Of course.
Okay, then, Siegfried, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us on Sibos TV.
It was a pleasure.
Siegfried Vonderau, thank you.
Thank you.